Good morning, everyone, or good afternoon, good evening. Honestly, who knows when you're watching this? I don't judge. But the exciting thing is that you are watching or listening at all. So thank you for joining me. Let's see if anyone is here. Not yet, but I'm going to just take a moment and make sure everything is working and connected. So mic is on, volume is up, camera is on, doing its thing. I can see myself, which is always a little weird. And okay, I think we are good. We are a go, everyone. All right. So I am really excited about today's topic. And I usually say that, but this one is something that I'm really, really passionate about. Like genuinely fired up. So this is one of those where my husband could even potentially come in and tell me to wrap it up because I think I will talk about this topic forever. So I have spent years coaching women, incredible, smart, motivated women, and watching them struggle, not because they weren't working hard enough, but because they weren't realistic about themselves, their past, their challenges, obstacles. They didn't really truly connect to their why and put the work in understanding their why before starting a program working with me. So what I want you to do right now is go grab a journal if you have one or your notes app and get ready, whatever you've got, because I'm going to ask you some questions today that I really want you to actually answer and not just nod along to. All right, I'm ready. Are you ready? Here we go. What if I told you that the reason you keep starting over has nothing to do with the program you choose? Not the diet, not the training plan, not the coach. You've probably tried a lot of things. Maybe a 12-week challenge at some point, maybe a macro counting app, maybe a group fitness membership where you showed up for 3 weeks and then life happened. And now there's a bottle of water or a t-shirt from that gym sitting in the back of your car. And every time the story is the same. I just need to find the right program for me. But here's what I've learned after working with hundreds of women. And this is going to feel a little uncomfortable, but stay with me. The program is never the problem. You are. And I say that with so much love because I've been there and because understanding why that's true is actually the most freeing thing that I could ever tell you. Today, we are going to do something most fitness content will never ask you to do. We are going to do a real, honest internal audit before you sign up for anything, before you invest $1, before you set up another Monday alarm, so that when you start something new, you actually finish it. So stick with me. This matters. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Lauren. I'm the co-owner of Oxfit, and I coach women at both Oxfit Grand Park and Oxfit East Atlanta, right here in Southeast Atlanta. I run a fitness and nutrition coaching program for women. Many of them are over 35, and many of them are moms. And I have watched incredible, motivated, very capable women sign up, get super fired up, show up for a few weeks, and then quietly disappear. And when I started asking why, the answer was almost never that the workouts were too hard or the nutrition plan didn't make sense. It was something deeper. It was something no one had asked them to look at before they started. And this I call the gap. It was the gap between the version of them who signed up on a Sunday night when their motivation was really high after eating like crap all weekend. So they're fired up, motivated, ready to change their lives, filling out the application with genuine excitement. And then the version of that person that shows up on a Wednesday night at 5:30 p.m. after a full day of work. Kids pick up, kids stress, a meeting that ran long, traffic, and a dinner that still isn't made. Both of those people are you, and both of them are real. But if the program was only built for the Sunday night, highly motivated version of you, the ideal you, the you with no obligations until Monday, It was never going to survive to Wednesday. That's not a failure of willpower. That's a failure of design. What I want to help you do today is build a bridge between those two versions of yourself. And that bridge starts with 5 honest questions that most people skip because the answers are uncomfortable. But I promise you, the discomfort of answering these questions is nothing compared to the pain of starting over again in 6 months. Dr. Stacy Sims, one of the world's leading researchers in women's exercise physiology, has spent her career proving that women are not small men. Our hormones, our stress responses, our recovery needs, even our adaptation to training, we are fundamentally different. And Dr. Amy Shaw, an integrative medicine physician who specializes in fatigue and hormonal health in women, teaches that lasting change has to account for the full load of a woman's life, not just what happens in the gym, not just what they put in their mouths. Both of them are telling us the same thing in different ways, that context matters. Your life is the context. And if you walk into a program without understanding your own context, your own reality, honestly and clearly, then you're setting yourself up for failure before you even start. So grab a journal or just sit with this, but here are the 5 questions that I have for you today. Question number 1, who am I walking into this program? Not who you want to be, not your goals, not your best self on your best day. Now, we do get into goals, but I first want to know, who are you right now? This is the question that separates the women who transform from the ones who start over every January. Because here's what happens. We sign up for programs as the person we're trying to become. We commit to 5, 6 workouts a week because we want to be someone who works out that much. We say yes to tracking every little detail because we want to be someone that does that and has that kind of discipline. But if you've been moving your body 0 to 2 times a week for the last 6 months, committing to 5 to 6 is not ambitious. It's a setup for failure. It's like never running and then signing up for a marathon next month and being surprised when it doesn't go well. Dr. Stacy Sims talks about this directly in the context of training load and hormonal stress. Women, especially women in their late 30s, 40s, and into perimenopause, often already have elevated cortisol. That's the primary stress hormone. When you're already running high on cortisol from work, family, chronic poor sleep, and just life in general, and then you suddenly try to pile on 5 to 6 high-intensity workouts a week without the physiological base and foundation to support it, you don't get stronger. You actually get more depleted. Your body literally reads the exercise itself as another stressor on top of an already overwhelmed system. And then what happens is your hormones do the opposite of what you want. You hang on to body fat. You feel more exhausted, not less, and you quit. Not because you're weak, but because your body is smarter than the plan. So when I ask, who are you walking in as? I want you to be brutally honest about 4 things. Really, your current activity level, not what you were doing 6 months ago or 6 years ago, not what you were doing before kids, right now in the last 4 weeks. How many times did you intentionally move your body? Be honest. The number doesn't shame you. It informs us. Your current sleep. Are you getting 7 to 8 hours of actual quality sleep, or are you surviving on 5 to 6 and calling it fine? Because Dr. Stacy Sims and virtually every researcher in this space will tell you that sleep is when your body adapts, recovers, and regulates the hormones that govern your hunger, your energy, and your body composition. You cannot supplement, train, or eat your way around chronic sleep deprivation. Number 3 is the current stress load that you have. This gives us the full picture. What are your work deadlines like? Relationship dynamics, financial pressures, parenting demands, caregiving responsibilities, the mental load of running a household. All of this counts. Your nervous system doesn't separate work stress from gym stress. It just measures total load. Your current relationship with food. Is eating something you do with intention, or is it reactive, chaotic, driven by convenience and emotion? Neither answer disqualifies you, but knowing the answer tells me and should tell you what kind of nutritional support you actually need to start. It is just being realistic. This isn't about judging where you are. It's about knowing your real starting point so we can build a program that fits your actual life, not the life you wish you had. So here's what I want you to hear. The person ready for an intensive program isn't someone who is perfect. It's someone who has some foundation, some consistency, some sleep, some baseline capacity to receive change. If you are completely depleted, burned out, running on fumes, and sleeping 5 hours a night, the first thing we need to do is address all of that, not start counting macros. It's your capacity to receive the program. You can't pour into a cracked cup. So pause here. Write down for me actually who you are right now, not who you're becoming or who you want to become, who you are today. So we have a true picture of what we're starting with. And this is actually where our process starts at OxFit. It's literally part of our application form. When someone comes to me and says, I want to do your coaching program, the first thing I do is definitely not handing them a meal plan. The first thing I do is actually I set up a call or an in-person meeting to learn more about them, because the program I build for you is going to look different based on your answers. A woman who is sleeping well, has a relatively flexible schedule, and some history of training is going to get a different version of my program than a woman who is working full-time, sleeping 6 hours, managing a family, and hasn't exercised consistently in 2 years. We're going to meet her where she's at and start at a different place. And not because one woman deserves more than the other, not because one woman is more committed than the other, but because the path that gets both of them to the same destination is actually not the same path. At OxFit, our coaching program is built around meeting you where you actually are. We don't have a one-size-fits-all plan that we hand over to everyone. We build your program around your real life, your schedule, your stress load, your history, your goals, and your current capacity. And we adjust it as your life changes, because life does change. And that's not a selling point. That's just good coaching. Any coach worth working with should be doing this. And I'm telling you this because I want you to know what to look for and what to expect from us. Okay, question number 2. What has stopped you before? This is the question most people skip because it requires us to look at failure. And we don't like to do that. It's not easy. But if you've started and stopped multiple times, 2 times, 5 times, 10 times, there is a pattern. And that pattern holds more information about your future success than any fitness assessment ever could. So was it stress eating when life got hard? Was it losing motivation after the first few weeks, when the novelty wore off and the hard work was still there, but the excitement wasn't anymore? Was it an injury because you went too hard too fast and didn't listen to your body's signals? Was it a life event, a move, a new job, a divorce, a loss, a sick parent that derailed everything and you just never found your way back? Dr. Amy Shaw talks about something called decision fatigue and willpower depletion. And I want you to really sit with this because it changed how I coach people. The idea is that by the end of the day, the average woman has made literally thousands of decisions. She has managed other people's needs, emotions, and schedules for hours. She has suppressed her own impulses repeatedly to show up professionally as a parent and as a partner. And by the time evening comes, she has measurably less cognitive and emotional bandwidth left to make choices for herself. And that's not a character flaw. That's not laziness. That's biology. That's your prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for executive decision-making and self-regulation. It's running low on fuel by the end of the day. So when you fail your evening workout for the 4th time this week, when you reach for something you didn't plan to eat at 9 p.m., when you tell yourself you'll prep your meals on Sunday, and then Sunday comes and you just can't make yourself do it, the question is not, why am I so weak? The question is, what is my actual bandwidth at that time? And is this plan built around it? So here's what I want you to do. I want you to think back honestly to the last 2 or 3 times you tried to change your health and didn't stick with it. And I want you to find the common thread. Ask yourself, when things got hard emotionally, when stress hit, when conflict happened, when exhaustion peaked, what did you do? Did you reach for food? Did you disappear from the program? Did you stop replying to your coach? Did you start telling yourself you'd restart on Monday? Because that escape route is your pattern. And your next program needs to have a plan for that, not just hope that it doesn't show up again. When you missed one day, one workout, one meal, did you recover and keep going? Or did it spiral out of control into, I've already blown it, might as well wait until Monday or next month or until after the holidays or until after that trip? That all or nothing spiral is one of the most common reasons I watch women start over. One imperfect day doesn't ruin a week. One imperfect week doesn't ruin a month. But the belief that it does, that ruins everything. Have you ever been consistent for a period of time and then something disrupted it and you never found your way back? What was that disruption? Is that type of disruption something that still exists in your life? Because if it does, we need to build a plan that accounts for it and not pretend that it won't happen. So when it does happen, we'll be ready and we know what to do. And this last one is hard, but I want you to sit with it too. Do you self-sabotage when things are going well? Do you find a way to blow it up when you're close to success? A lot of women do. And there's nothing wrong with if you answer yes. You're just being honest. But that pattern is worth knowing about. It's worth exploring. Ideally with a therapist or maybe a trusted coach or mentor, because no fitness plan in the world can address if you don't see it. The programs that changed people's lives weren't magic. They were the right program at the right time for someone who understood their own patterns well enough to stop fighting them and to start actually working with them. If you know you have an all or nothing tendency, you do not need a program that requires perfection. You need a program that is built to bend without breaking. One that has a plan for the hard weeks, not just the good ones. So write it down. What stopped you before? What is your pattern? Be honest. No one is grading this. Okay. Question number 3. What does my real daily life actually look like? Not your ideal day, not your Pinterest routine, your actual Tuesday when life gets busy and chaotic. I ask every single client I work with to walk me through a real Tuesday. Not their best Tuesday, not their worst Tuesday, just a regular one. And what always comes out is so much more complicated than the application form ever suggests. So something like this, right? I wake up at 5:45 because the kids are already up. I have a call at 8 a.m., so I skip breakfast or grab something quick that's not what I originally planned for. I have a meeting at noon. It bleeds into my lunch break. I'm running on caffeine and stress by 2 o'clock already. And by 5, I have to go pick up the kids, and I'm mentally calculating what I can throw together for dinner. By 7, after dinner, I've got homework help and baths and whatever else pops up, and then I'm done. And by that time, I'm physically tired and emotionally empty, and I maybe have 30 minutes or so before I probably need to get in bed to get a decent amount of sleep, right? Sound familiar? And that's when the program asks, And that's when the program asks you to work out too, is at the end of the day in those 30 minutes or so when you're like, I finally have some time. Or to meal prep for the week, right? On a Tuesday night at 8 p.m. Can you see the problem here? Yeah. So Dr. Stacey Sims is very clear about timing when it comes to women's training. When you train relative to your hormonal patterns and your circadian biology, that actually matters. For many women, especially those under chronic stress, morning training produces better cortisol regulation and a more favorable hormonal environment than training at the end of a long, depleted day. Not because there's something wrong with evening workouts, but because cortisol is already elevated and your stress response system is already taxed by that point in the day. So piling a hard workout on top of that can actually blunt your results and deepen your fatigue. But beyond the science, if the program was built for a version of your life that doesn't actually exist, then it was never going to fit. And it wasn't going to be your fault when it didn't. So I want you to audit your real week, not your ideal week, your actual current, this is my life week. When do you actually have a 45 to 60 minute window where you have some energy left? Not peak energy, but just enough. And that might be 6 a.m., right? Before the house wakes up. It might be a quick lunch break. It might be 5:30 p.m. right after you work, before you walk in the door. Whatever that window is, that's where your workouts need to live, and you need to schedule them. Who in your life supports this goal actively, genuinely, and who, consciously or not, makes it harder? This matters more than people want to admit. Research consistently shows that social support is one of the strongest predictors of long-term behavior change. If the people in your immediate environment are not aligned with your goal, you need a strategy for that. Not a confrontation, but a strategy. And do you have access to the food that you need to eat? Or are you trying to eat one way in a household that eats a completely different way? Because navigating different meal preferences while also trying to hit your nutrition targets is a real logistical challenge that a good program needs to account for. And your coach needs to know that in advance. And then finally, what is your actual calendar? Not the ideal one, the real one, because sustainable health is not built in your best week. It's built in your hardest one. If the program only works when everything goes right, then it doesn't actually work. Okay, I want to stop here and talk about something that I think is one of the most important things that I can share with you in this video. So I want to tell you about two women. I'm going to call them Sarah and Jen. Both of them want the exact same things: to lose body fat and build strength, have more energy, and feel good in their bodies. Both of them are equally committed. Both of them are smart, motivated, capable women who genuinely want to change. But here's where they live differently. So Sarah works from home. She has flexibility in her schedule. She sleeps about 7.5 hours most nights. Her kids are older and more independent, and she has weekends that are relatively free. She has about 2 hours on a Sunday to meal prep for the week. She's moderately stressed because she has a full life, but she has some tools for managing it. And she exercises a few times a week and has consistently for years. Then Jen, she works full time outside the house. She has a 45-minute commute each way. She has 2 kids under 10, averages about 5 hours of sleep, maybe sometimes 6. She has 45 minutes in the evening to put dinner on the table, and she is highly stressed out. Her job is super demanding. Her home life's demanding, and the mental load that she carries is enormous. She has not exercised consistently in about a year because there has genuinely not been a clear window to do it. Now, if you were to hand both Sarah and Jen the exact same program, the same meal plan, the same training schedule, the same tracking requirements, the same expectations, what happens? So Sarah probably thrives, right? The program was designed for someone with her life. She has the time. She already has a good foundation of sleep. She's already recovering pretty well, right? She hits her goals in 12 weeks and she shares her results. But Jen crashes after a week or two. And not because she's not trying, not because she doesn't want it badly enough, not because she lacks willpower or commitment. She crashes because the program was never designed for her. It was designed for Sarah and Sarah's life. And Jen has been trying to live Sarah's program inside Jen's life. And every single day just doesn't fit. She starts to feel more and more like a failure until she quits. And then here's the part that breaks my heart. So Jen tells herself the story that she doesn't have what it takes, that she's not the kind of person who can do this, that maybe it's just not in the cards for her right now. And that's so not the truth. That was just a design problem masquerading as a character flaw. A program designed for someone with hours to prep food, low stress, plenty of sleep, and an empty schedule is generally not going to work for someone with 45 minutes to get dinner on the table, a chaotic week, stress that never turns off, a body that's running on not enough rest. So even if both women want the same results, and even if both women are equally committed and try just as hard, even if both women are willing to put in the work, the program has to fit the person's life. And that means you have to be brutally honest, not just with yourself, but with your coach too, about what your life actually looks like right now when you start. Because a good coach doesn't just hand you a program that's one size fits all. A good coach listens to your real life and then builds something that can actually live inside it. So Jen doesn't need a watered down version of Sarah's program. She needs Jen's program, one that accounts for 45-minute dinners, high stress, disrupted sleep, and a schedule that doesn't have big open blocks in it. One that is built to produce results within the constraints of her real life. Because her real life is not going to pause while she gets healthy. It's still moving forward. And here's what I know from working with hundreds of women. Jen can absolutely get results. She can get strong. She can lose body fat. She can have more energy and feel like herself again. We have done it with people just like Jen, but only when the program is built for her and we have an open, honest conversation about reality and her starting point. And that's what we do at Oxfit. When I sit down with a new client, the first thing I'm doing is figuring out whether she's a Sarah or a Jen or somewhere in between. And most women are somewhere in between. And the answer changes depending on the season of life that they're in too. So our coaching program is personalized, not personalized just as like a marketing word. Personalized as in I actually look at your life, your schedule, your stress, your sleep, your access to food and your shopping habits, your training history, and your goals. And I build something that has a fighting chance of working inside your real circumstances. And for some women, that means a full nutrition tracking protocol with macros and check-ins. For others, and I'll share a story about this in just a second, that might mean a simpler approach, fewer rules, more habit-based. Because sometimes the most powerful thing I can do for a woman is take tracking off her plate and not add to it. The workouts are designed for real people with real time constraints. We're not asking you to be in the gym for hours. We're just asking you to show up consistently with the time that you actually have. We need 45 to 60 minutes, depending on what class you come to. And the support structure, the community, the accountability, the check-ins, it's designed for the hard weeks, not just the good ones, because the hard weeks are when most programs fall apart. We try to be the program that holds you together when life gets hard, instead of disappearing until you feel good enough to show up again. That's what we're building at Oxfit, and it starts by being really honest about your life. Okay, so I want to tell you about a client. Her name is Julie, and she's given me permission to share this. So she came to me having done multiple rounds of food tracking programs in the past. She had used various different tracking apps. She had counted her macronutrients before. She had logged every meal, every calorie. And she was good at it. When life was stable, she was really, really disciplined. She'd lose some weight. She'd feel good. She'd feel in control. But every time life ramped up, a busy work stretch came up, a family health situation popped up, a period of high stress, The tracking became one more thing to manage in a life that already had too many things to manage. And instead of just kind of easing off the tracking for a bit, she'd abandoned the whole program. Because for her, tracking was the program. That was it. And if she wasn't tracking, then she wasn't doing it. She had that all or nothing mentality. And so she'd stop. She'd feel like a failure. She'd spiral. She'd eat in a way that she wasn't proud of for a few weeks. And then she'd have to start over from scratch. When she came to me, she was ready to start a new program, and she was okay with maybe not getting results as fast as she had seen in the past because she was just so sick of starting over and over again. And I said, I don't think that's actually what you need right now. You don't need a totally new program. And she looked at me like I had two heads. I told her I thought that her relationship with tracking had become a source of stress, not a tool for progress. I told her I thought that the thing that was going to move the needle for her wasn't more precision, it was more sustainability. So instead of macros and instead of tracking, again, which is what she defined as a program, we built a habits-based plan. So we worked on 5 simple nutrition habits. And here's what we did. Tracked protein at every meal. No eating after 7 p.m. Slowed down when she ate. We made sure to put phones away. We were practicing more mindful eating, drinking more water, and walking 8,000 to 10,000 steps a day. And that was it. And when I say tracking protein at every meal, I don't necessarily mean like recording it and logging it. I just mean like, are you eating protein at every meal? And so that's what we were looking at. Protein, no eating past 7 p.m., no phones and mindful eating, drinking more water, and walking 8 to 10K steps. And that was it. So we created a way to see how consistent we could be with these habits. And at first, after going from weighing and measuring every single piece of food that went in her mouth, she thought it was too easy, right? Like she wasn't sure she'd actually still get results by just having these habits in place. She lost 11 pounds in 12 weeks. She slept better, her energy improved, and for the first time in years, she didn't feel like food was something she was either controlling or being controlled by. She didn't need more precision. She needed actually less friction. And it took both of us being really honest about what her life could realistically hold right now. And that's what personalized coaching looks like. It's not giving everyone the same tool. It's figuring out which tool fits this person at this time in this life right now. All right. So question number 4. Think about this. What is my relationship with discomfort? And this is the one no one really asks, and it might be the most important question on this list. So real change, real lasting change is uncomfortable, right? Not brutal, not punishing, not unsustainable, but it asks something of you. It asks you to stay in the hard moments instead of escaping them, to sit with hunger that isn't an emergency, to do the workout when you don't feel like it, to keep going when the novelty's worn off and the results maybe aren't visible yet. And most of us, when we feel that discomfort, have very well-worn escape routes. Food, scrolling, busyness, alcohol, I'll start again on Monday excuses. Dr. Amy Shaw talks about the role of inflammation, the gut-brain axis, and the dopamine system in cravings and self-soothing behaviors. When we are chronically stressed, and most of the women I work with at some point are chronically stressed. A lot of us are moms and working moms too. Our brain actually upregulates the reward system's response to high fat, high sugar food. Your body is not betraying you when you reach for that glass of wine or that bowl of chips at 9 p.m. It's doing exactly what a chronically depleted nervous system is designed to do. Seek fast dopamine. Seek relief. And understanding why you do it doesn't mean that you can't change it, but it does mean the path to changing it is addressing the actual root, which is usually accumulated stress, maybe loneliness, emotional dysregulation, or the sheer exhaustion of a life that has like no recovery built into it. and rather than just adding more willpower to a system that's already tapped out. So ask yourself honestly, when things get uncomfortable, physically hard in a workout or emotionally hard in the process of changing, what do you do? Not what do you want to do? Like, what do you actually do? What are you known for doing? Do you have any healthy tools for managing stress and emotion? Or is your primary tool avoidance? Because if avoidance is your only tool, every hard moment in the program is going to be a moment of risk for us. And that doesn't disqualify you. It just means that we need to build in support for those moments. And I need to know this about you. Are you willing to feel the discomfort of change, knowing it's temporary and worth it? Because that tolerance, the ability to stay in the hard thing, is a trainable skill. It gets stronger every time you choose it, but you have to choose it at least once to start. And this one, I'm asking gently, is there something you're using, food, alcohol, distraction, or busyness, to avoid feeling right now? Something that is going to follow you into this program if you don't name it. Because a coaching program is not therapy, and I'm definitely not a therapist, but a good coach will notice when something's in the way. And if you know it's there, then you can tell us and we can work with you on it instead of around it. All right, question 5. Am I ready to be coached, or do I just want results? These are not the same thing. And confusing them is one of the most common reasons coaching actually can fall apart and coaching relationships can fall apart. Wanting results is easy. Everyone wants results. But being coached means you're willing to be challenged. It means you're open to feedback that contradicts maybe what you believe. It means you're willing to do the boring, foundational, unglamorous work, even when it doesn't feel like it's adding up to anything yet. I've worked with women who were incredibly motivated, who wanted the results more than almost anything. But when I asked them to try to sleep more before we added another training session, they pushed back. When I told them that we needed to actually reduce their training volume before we could build it back, they pushed back. They wanted the results, but they weren't ready to be coached and they weren't ready to try something new. Dr. Stacy Sims puts it plainly, you can't out-train under recovery. For women, especially in our 30s, 40s, and beyond, sleep, stress management, and progressive load are not optional soft skills on the side of the program. They are the program. The aesthetics come from the recovery. The strength comes from the adaptation that only happens when your body has enough resources to adapt. If you are not willing to address those things, the body you want will always just be slightly out of reach, no matter how hard you train. Coachability is a real skill. It requires being willing to trust a process, even when you can't yet see the result. Results take longer than we want them to and come in an order that we don't always expect. The first 3 weeks might feel like nothing is happening. That does not mean nothing is happening. Being able to receive feedback without shutting down or quitting, a good coach is going to tell you hard things. They're going to say, I think you're eating less than your body needs. We need to eat more. And that might be really hard for some people to accept. Or I think the stress in your life right now is really limiting your results more than your training is. So can we take an extra rest day? Those things can kind of sting, right? But coachable women hear them, they're open to them, they sit with them and respond. Non-coachable women just reject them and or disappear and then wonder why they're not getting results or try to blame someone or something else. Being willing to be consistent before you are confident. Most people want to feel confident and ready before they commit to consistency. It actually works the other way around. Consistency comes first. Confidence follows. And being honest with your coach about your real nutrition, your real stress, your real life, so that they can actually help you. We can only work with what you show us. If you tell me everything is fine and it isn't, I'm coaching a fiction. So the most successful women I've ever worked with were not the most athletic when they started. They weren't the most disciplined necessarily or the most experienced, but they were the most honest. They were the ones that told me when something wasn't working. They asked for help when they were struggling. They asked for new ideas. They stayed in the conversation. They did their check-ins weekly. And they talked about things with me when things were uncomfortable. And they got the results that genuinely changed their lives because they trusted the process. That's coachability. It is the single greatest predictor of success in any coaching program. So here are your 5 questions one more time, and I want you to actually answer them, not just in your head, in writing, because writing makes it real in a way that thinking doesn't. Okay, so number 1, who am I walking into this program as? What is my real activity level, my real sleep like, my real stress levels like, my real relationship with food? Write it down. Who are you today? Don't just write who you're becoming or who you want to become. Let's get a true understanding of where we are right now. Okay, number 2, what has stopped me before? So find your pattern. The answer is in your history if you're willing to go back and look and be honest. Number 3, what does my real daily life actually look like? Write down your day-to-day schedule. Walk through a real Tuesday. Build a plan around that Tuesday, not just an imaginary perfect day. The one that is full of kids pickups and drop-offs and work meetings and, shuttling around and work commutes and calls here and there. Write out a true Tuesday, Wednesday day for yourself. Number 4, what is my relationship with discomfort? Know your escape routes so that you can make a different choice when you hit one. And then 5, am I ready to be coached? Not just ready for results, but am I open to working with a coach, being coached, being honest with them, being open, being challenged, trying something new? Am I in this for the long game and for the right reasons? These questions are not designed to disqualify you. They're not a test that you can fail. They're just a mirror. And looking in an honest mirror before you start is the single most powerful thing you can do to make sure that this program is the last one that you ever have to start. I don't want you to continue starting over. Because here's what I know after years of this work. You are capable of so much more than you believe. The women I've watched transform at Oxfit were not extraordinary people when they walked in, right? They were just ordinary women and moms who got really honest, got supported, and then just stayed in it and trusted the process. The problem was never your potential. The problem was that nobody sat down with you and really understood where you were starting from and asked you these questions. Nobody helped you close the gap between Sunday you and Wednesday you. Nobody built a program around Jen's life instead of Sarah's life. And that is exactly what we try to do at Oxfit. Our coaching program is built for real women with real lives. It's personalized to where you are right now. It adjusts when life changes. It has a plan for the hard weeks, not just the good ones. And it's surrounded by a community of women who are doing this alongside you, women who get it because they're living it too. Don't let this be another thing you tried. Let this be the thing that changed your life. If you're ready to do that work, honestly, fully, with support, I would love to be your coach. The link to learn more about our coaching program is going to be in the description below. You can also DM me directly on Instagram. You see my handle right here is @LozPop3. Feel free to email me. My email's below as well. And I will check all of those DMs and emails that come through to me. If this video resonated with you, please share it with a woman in your life who needs to hear it, because sometimes the most powerful thing we can do for someone we love is tell them the truth with kindness. All right, you guys, have a great week. See you next week.